You are live.
All right, Diane, it's all yours to start.
Okay, thanks everyone. I'd like to call to order the Historic District Commission meeting of July 9th, 2020. Mr. Parcell, will you call roll, please?
Yes, I will. Commissioner Sousa?
Here.
Commissioner Sampson? Commissioner Hendricks?
Here.
Commissioner Gray?
Here.
Commissioner Fox-Brown? You're muted, Marcella.
Here.
Thank you. Vice Chair Wing?
Here.
And Chair Flores. You have quorum.
Wonderful. Approval of the agenda is next in the order. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second? Do I have a second for this?
A second.
Quick note, if before you make a motion or a second, just say your commissioner name for the minutes reasons.
Lindsay Gray, second.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have a motion by, I believe it was Commissioner Sousa, seconded by Commissioner Gray.
Yep.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item C, approval of minutes for March 12th, 2020. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Lindsay Gray, motion to approve.
Commissioner Hendricks, second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Gray, seconded by Commissioner Hendricks. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Anyone against? Okay, approved. Item C, approval of the special rule limiting public comment, including public hearings and for all online and virtual meetings from this point forward. Before I ask for a motion, could I ask Mr. Parcell, what is the time limit that is being requested here? Jake? Jake, you're muted.
Yep, sorry, we have one of the applicants calling in, trying to get on here.
Oh,
so the special rule here basically would put a definite cap on public comment during the public comment section from communications and during public hearings. You can set it at whatever time you think is appropriate. Our base was 2 minutes for most other meetings. Planning Commission extended theirs to 5. What happens during the public comment is I will call everyone who is an attendee by the last 3 digits of their phone number or their initials. They will have a chance to say their name and either pass or come back during their public hearing and be brought up and discussed then. So this just gives you a time limit to talk to them.
Okay, if I may,
Set wherever you want.
Go ahead, Aaron.
Oh, I was gonna see what people thought of 2 minutes for public comment and 5 minutes for hearings.
Agreed.
Agreed.
That's enough. I would move, we set a 2 minute time limit for public comment and a 5 minute limit for hearings. This is Sousa doing that motion.
And Commissioner Sousa, are you specifically referring to the 5 minutes for the applicant or their agent to speak for 5 minutes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so I have a motion from Commissioner Sousa that the special rule limiting public comment will be restricted to 2 minutes for the public to comment, 5 minutes for the applicant or the applicant's agent to comment. All those in favor say aye.
Wait, you need a second.
Oh, I'm
sorry.
sorry.
Point of order, you need a second.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hendricks, second.
Okay. Commissioner Hendricks seconded that. If everyone's okay, I won't reread that again. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Item 2 is communications. This is the part of the agenda or the point in the agenda where anyone from the public has the opportunity to speak about anything that's either on the agenda or off of the agenda. So either Jake or Rebecca, I will open that up to you in terms of managing if there are any attendees in the audience who would like to speak at this time?
Yep, not a problem. I am going to share my screen very quickly. I sent this to everyone earlier today. Here is a public an email received in regard to the 609 sunset application. I don't know if everyone had a chance to read it, but I wanted to share it one last time just to send out the written communication. So I can leave this up. And then if anyone needs any minute to read it, just let me know and I'll leave it here. Otherwise, we can go right into the public comment.
Okay, so any of the attendees that
Yep.
are with the meeting or on the meeting today, if you would like to speak now, indicate however you indicate on Zoom. I think it's raise your hand in the
Yep.
chat bar. Okay.
I'm gonna go through right now. So caller with the last 3 digits, 728. Your 2 minutes to speak will begin now.
And please give us your name, your full name, and your address. Thank you.
Caller 728, the floor is yours.
Is that me?
Yep, that is. If you
Oh,
want to have your comment now, you can, or you can postpone until you're hearing for the applicant you're representing. Just have to say pass.
Okay. Yeah, I'll wait a little later
Okay, thank
in the
you.
meeting then.
Caller with the last 3 digits, 074. The floor is yours.
Good evening. This is Scott Stewart. I'm representing John Miller this evening.
Okay. I will bring you back in when your rehearing comes up. Thank you. Caller with the initials AF. The floor is yours. You are muted.
Yep. Art Felton. I'll just wait for my turn.
Thank you. Caller with the initials BJ. The floor is yours.
Yes, this is Ben Jansen. I'm speaking on behalf of Mara Leichtman on 407 Marshall Street when her case comes up.
Okay, thank you. Caller with the initials BG. The floor is yours.
I'm speaking on behalf of 445 Abbott, and I'll speak when we get there.
Thank you. Caller with the initials DT. The floor is yours.
Hi, my name is Dan Tuman. I'm here to represent Michael McCurdy on the 415 MAC project.
All right, thank you. Caller with the initials FV. The floor is yours.
Oh, this is Frank Vargas. I didn't have anything to say.
Thank you.
I'm here, though.
Thank you. Caller with the initials HM. The floor is yours. HM, you're muted for reference.
Oh, sorry.
No,
Yeah, this is Heather Miller. I'll pass and wait until the hearing.
Thank you. Caller with the initials JW. The floor is yours.
Hi, this is Jason Weller. I'll pass until my hearing for 345 University Drive.
Thank you. Caller with the initials JR. The floor is yours. You are muted.
Okay, this is Jeff Berg. I don't have anything to say till we get to 219 Collingwood.
Okay, thank you. And caller with the initials ML. The floor is yours.
Hi, this is Mara Leichtman. I'm representing 407 Marshall Street along with Frank Jansen. I'll wait until my turn, but I did want to note that one of our neighbors should have also sent a letter in support of our proposal that you should have received by email yesterday, I believe. I'm just wondering if that would be shared.
Yep, 1 second. I will take a look really quickly and I will put that up. Thank you.
Thank you.
One second. Mara, I'm sorry. Who is that from? I'm not seeing one in here.
From Fred Rauscher.
Okay. I don't believe that came to me. Oh, wait, here we go. Perfect. All right. I'm going to share that on the screen right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And here is the other comment for everyone to review. And you can put that into the record. Other than the 2 written comments, you have no public comment from the audience at this time. I will bring in everyone for their hearings, and when everyone, if anyone needs to speak at that time, you can use the raise hand function, so we won't go through everyone one more time. And I will pass it back to you, Chair Wing, for whenever everyone is done reading.
Okay, let's move on then. Item number 3 on the agenda is council liaison reports. I do not see that our council liaison is in attendance, but I will ask just in case if Council Member Meadows is in attendance.
We have no council liaison reports.
Okay, thank you. Item number 4, public hearings. Public hearing A. A public hearing will be held for the purpose of considering a request from Mike McCurdy for the property located at 415 MAC Avenue to replace 10 windows and decking, rail, and posts on the front porch. Mr. Parcell, will you please advise us of this request?
Yes, so this is, let me share my screen. This is the large blue house on the corner of MAC. It is a believe landmark property in the city of East Lansing. You can see here they are applying to replace several windows with wood/vinyl clad windows, and then replace the decking and rails on the front porch. The decking and rails will be there to match the existing, and the windows will be completely new replacement windows. Like I said, they'll have vinyl cladding, so I don't believe they'll match what's already on the property. But I can move through here as anyone wants. If you don't have it shared on your own screen, we have some PowerPoint from them, but I'm going to unmute the applicant so they can have the ability to speak, and then they can field questions from the commission as well, and then you can open the public hearing.
Mr. Tooman, are you speaking on behalf of the applicant?
So is there anything specific that me as the applicant?
Is this Mr. Tooman speaking?
Yes, he's unmuted.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess my first question is, are you part of the MSU Student Housing Cooperative, or
Yeah,
are you?
So basically, Mike McCurdy is on furlough because of COVID, doing childcare and all sorts of other things. I've been working with the co-op system for about 12 years. I was actually the student officer that was in charge when we actually acquired Howland House and did the renovations for it. And I personally will be installing the windows and doing the repairs on the porch. I'm a professional woodworker, and I have a lot of history with that house, and it's really special to us too. As a co-op landmark, but also a city landmark. It's a beautiful, really special house. Who is it? With the architect was Darius Moon, and there's only a couple of his properties left in town, and so we'd really like to take care of it. Part of the front porch issue, as I recall it, was it took a while for us to be able to put gutters on the front of the house, and in that time, water was running down all of the main structural detail columns, and so all of those column tops and bases have rotted out. So we'd like to get on it as soon as possible.
This is Aaron Souza. Replacing the decking and things like that with the same stuff, same design, seems pretty straightforward. Help me understand the window request.
The window request, basically, we've been flagged for a bunch of windows not operating properly. They are the original double hungs. Back when we originally acquired the property, I personally went through and reglazed and restored as many of the original windows as I could, but at this point, they don't really fit. The sashes are pretty loose. They're a serious energy efficiency problem, along with not being able to install like fully functioning lock systems and that kind of a thing. A few of them are deteriorating to the point that even reglazing won't be a great option. So just for the longevity of the house, I know we'd like to put in something of decent quality and try to basically have the wood finish on the inside and then have the vinyl cladding on the outside, so that it'll be less of a long-term maintenance issue to try to keep the house intact. And the measurements and the bids, I'm hoping they're included. I kind of came in late on this, but all of the dimensions and specs of the windows are measured to match what's there. Like the sash ratios are all correct.
On the screen now is the window specifications.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, and then they're basically, most of them are on the second floor, and they're all essentially the same window, which for install and measuring and ordering purposes is very nice.
Can you help me understand your attempts to get them repaired? Because I mean, the Secretary of Interior Standard 6 is pretty clear that, things like this should be repaired with the same material. And this is, as you said, in particular, a historic building.
I'm sorry, I guess I don't fully understand. Basically, they're just in really bad shape. So a lot of the normal simple repairs you do to old windows aren't really going to fly anymore.
And have you had anybody come in who does window replacement, or I should say window repair?
I mean, yeah, like I have personally repaired these windows, taken them all out of their frames, rehung the weights, reglazed every window in the house, and these are the ones that over the years they've just continued to take more and more beating with the students. It's sort of a long-term abuse issue, where it is a really special historic building, but even after kind of reclaiming it and repairing it, it's under this similar kind of abuse style. And a lot of these fixes, they're very short term, and they don't improve the living quality of anyone in the house.
This is Vice Chair Wing. Do the windows actually operate? Do they go up and down?
Most of them do not function up and down very well. They don't really fit their frames, their original frame dimensions all that well. And so even with the weights attached to them, there's a lot of tweak, a lot of play, and a lot of air loss. And depending on the resident, they either can or can't open their window.
For the windows that do operate, do the windows lock?
The part of the problem is they're not able to sit in their locations properly. So a few of them could theoretically have a shim added to raise it up, but the point is that I can't make them reach their proper seal. even with the lock, there's still no way to get the bottoms or the top, like the border between the top and bottom sash to actually come together properly mechanically to create a seal.
And I apologize if I missed your answer to Commissioner Souza's question as to whether you've had a wood window repair specialist actually look at the windows and give you an assessment for repairing them.
Yeah, I don't believe that a particular wood window specialist has been called in. I know that we have done a little work with a few of the glass companies in town, but by and large, the story is more directed towards replacement. But I have not had a historic window specialist come and look.
Any comments, questions from the other commissioners? Specifically regarding windows, if we could concentrate on the windows at this point. Okay. So I would say that my concern about this is somewhat what Commissioner Souza echoed too, is the fact that this is a landmark structure. And if it's been designed by architect Darius Moon, as you stated, there's very few of these structures still standing, especially in the greater Lansing area. So I'm concerned that we would be looking at replacing these windows instead of bringing in a historic window specialist, at the very least to give an expert opinion as to how these windows could be repaired. Most wood windows, as I'm sure you know, can be repaired. Perhaps it's just a matter of slightly different level of expertise to be able to assess these. I'm not trying to besmirch your capabilities.
No, it is an issue of cost, though, because we're a not-for-profit. We try to provide really reasonable, below-market rents for basically all of our members, our co-owners of the properties. And for us to call in a window restorer is an incredibly costly, very specialty kind of thing that we don't normally even budget for. And so I guess that's sort of my concern, is we're trying to provide a way to keep this house intact so that it can serve all of these residents that are owners in a way that's safe and quality. And to have to go out and have 11 of these special windows rebuilt is going to be quite a bit more expensive than what we're talking for replacements. So I guess that's my 2 cents on that.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to, this is Commissioner Souza, I'd like to make a 2-part motion.
First, we need to open the public hearing. Sorry to interrupt.
Sorry. Okay.
And this is Vice Chair Wing. I do have a couple of comments on the rest of the application. I did take the opportunity to go out and visit the house this afternoon and take a look. I really wanted to familiarize myself with the condition of the decking and especially the columns. I believe you're referring to the columns as posts. I want to make sure that we're talking about the same thing here. There's 4 columns
that's what I'm about. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so there's 4 columns on the front, and the two frontmost columns that face MAC, the base is clearly deteriorated, but in the inspection that I did quickly, the column itself, as well as the top 2 above the base, the top 2 rings that are above the base, appear to be in very good shape. One of the columns, I think it would be on the south, needs a little bit of perhaps wood putty or wood restorative on it. But I'm actually very concerned that these columns actually do not need to be replaced. And I think it would be extremely
So I can stop
Go
you there. Columns
Sure.
are not intended to be replaced. Basically, what you're seeing in that photo that's on the screen is the entire structure below that post has become compromised. So the whole front porch needs to be lifted. Those columns will be glued and snapped back together. And then any of those components, the rings or the square boxes, will be fabricated from scratch and stuck back in their place. And the porch will be lowered back down onto the repaired structural members.
Okay,
But
so
the-
you are
the
not
column-
talking about replacing, okay.
Correct, yes.
Okay, awesome. So let's make sure that we have that, stating that to Mr. Parcell, make sure we note that it's the columns themselves are not going to be replaced. The other item is in regards to the decking. I noticed within your application, it was indicated that the decking would be replaced by 2x without any secondary dimension. The decking is obviously not tongue and groove. It appears that the decking lays against itself flush. But I'm not sure that it's the same width as it is the same height. And it's extremely important that that decking be recreated in exactly the same dimension that it is now, including the bull-nosed, it's sort of curved along the edges, along
Right.
the front, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my specialty, is replicating things that already exist. That is the plan, to basically acquire whatever material I need and mill it to be exactly correct.
It's also mentioned that the siding, that there's damaged siding. The only damaged siding that I could see, and again, I was only there for about 5 minutes this afternoon, is there's some damaged siding if you're going up the front porch. There's some damaged siding on the right side of the porch. Is that the siding that you're referring to repairing?
That I am not certain. I'm kind of coming in late to this, kind of taking over at the a couple days ago for it. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly what that refers to, but it's that old cedar shake siding. So it could be. There's just little spots throughout the house that I know are kind of failing, but I didn't realize that was included.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I understood which aspect of the siding was being referred to.
Yeah.
And for the most part, the siding looks like it's in pretty good shape, other than you could see that, like I said, the siding on the right side of that stairwell going up looked like it had been kicked a couple of times.
Yeah, it would be minor repairs, I think, if it's in there.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions from the panel, from the commissioners, for Mr. Tooman? Okay, thank you. I'd like to open the public, I'd like to ask if there's any additional comments regarding this application from other attendees at the meeting other than Mr. Tooman. So if there's anybody in the audience who's here to speak in regards to this application, now is your opportunity to do so.
And for this, so we don't have to go through everyone, just because I'm aware that just about everyone is here for a different hearing. You can use the raise hand function on Zoom to notify if you would like to speak. Otherwise, we can continue.
I was going to say, and again, this is only to speak in regards to this particular application for 415 MAC Avenue. Okay, seeing no one, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. Bring it back to the commission. Commissioner Souza, I believe you had a motion prior.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Souza. I'm actually I would like to realize I should probably do two motions. So I would move that certificate of appropriateness be approved for replacing the decking and structure of the porch with preservation of the same dimensions and bullnose detail, as well as the columns, based on Secretary of Interior Standards 5 and 6.
Do I have a second for that motion?
Commissioner Gray, I'll second.
Thank you. So I have a motion by Commissioner Souza, seconded by Commissioner Gray. Is there any discussion regarding this? Okay, this is Commissioner Wing. I know that there are times, and I'll defer to Mr. Parcell, that we add additional conditions. And simply, again, given the prominence of this particular home, not only based on its longevity and its history, but its literal prominence on MAC. I mean, it's one of the most noticeable historic homes that we have in East Lansing. I would like to determine, and obviously Commissioner Souza would be up to you if you wanted to add to, this as a friendly amendment, but I would like to suggest that prior to the work beginning, that any work that's approved regarding this house, that prior to the work beginning, that there be an additional meeting with Mr. Tooman or whoever is going to be actually performing the work, that would allow Mr. Parcell and the chair and the vice chair of the HDC to review the plans in more detail prior to the work being started.
Okay.
Maybe if the applicant is still there, maybe they could just agree to that.
Yeah, that is totally fine. Especially the world is traveling quite slow. So, yeah, like absolutely, we can arrange a meeting, meet up, look at the whole front porch, look at what the intention is and what the plan's going to look like. That's fine.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much. Okay, so then Commissioner Souza, that sounds as though your motion stays the same, correct?
Yeah, unless you feel like that's not a, yeah.
No, I mean, I take Mr. Tooman's word at it,
Yeah.
and that between he and Mr. Parcell, they will be in touch with each other, and we will quickly arrange a time, when the work is ready, closer to be done, to just review the plans before it actually kicks off.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Are we ready for a vote? If so, Mr. Parcell, will you do a roll call vote on the motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness for replacing the decking, the stairs, and the column bases using the same materials and in the same dimensions as currently exists on the house per Secretary of Interior Standards 5 and 6?
Yes. Commissioner Souza?
Yes.
Commissioner Hendricks?
Yes.
Commissioner Gray?
Yes.
Commissioner Fox Brown? Commissioner Fox Brown?
Yes.
Thank you. Chair Wing?
Yes.
All right. Motion 1 is approved.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would, based on Secretary of State and the Secretary of Interior Standards 5 and 6, I would move to deny approval for the replacement of the windows.
Second, Commissioner Hendricks.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Souza, seconded by Commissioner Hendricks. Discussion? This is Commissioner Wing. I will be voting for this. I will be voting to deny. I do believe that we owe it to the House to determine if there are other alternatives to repairing the windows. Alternatives to replacing the windows, pardon me.
Yeah, and that's my fundamental concern, is that this building is important enough that people have to have windows that work, but I also feel like this is important enough that I really want to make sure that there's no other option.
Any other comments by the other commissioners? All right, seeing no other comments. Mr. Parcell, will you call a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Commissioner Souza? This is all right. So this is a motion to deny. So in favor means that you are in favor of denying this portion of the application, for clarity's sake. Commissioner Souza?
Yes.
Commissioner Hendricks,
Yes.
Commissioner Gray,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox Brown,
Yes.
and Chair Wing.
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Tooman, what this means is you have 60 days to revise and resubmit. I can be in touch with you with some options
Yeah, I
early
was gonna
next
ask
week.
if you have recommendations for who to contact.
Yes, I will get in touch with you and we will work on this. Essentially, we're asking just for a few different quotes for rehabilitation. Sometimes you've gotten it come back cheaper depending on the state of the windows. And
Okay.
we can go from there, and then we'll rehear your hearing in any time in the next 60 days once you resubmit.
Okay. Great.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, moving on to public hearing B. A public hearing will be held for the purpose of considering a request from Frank Vargas for the property located at 219 Collingwood Drive to replace 2 windows with new replacement windows. Mr. Parcell?
Yes. 1 second. Let me get everything situated with this. Okay. So this is a application for the home here in Collingwood. I am allowing the applicant to speak. Essentially, there's 2 windows that are being replaced. They are up on the corners. Let me get to the photos at the bottom. But they are going to be replaced with a replacement synthetic fiberglass material. It's this photo or this one on each side of the house. So the one in the upper peak. That's all we really have for this one. One thing to note is you can see that the windows in the rest of the house are 6/1 grids or just a 6 grid window. This doesn't appear to have any type of divided light in the upper portion of this window, and the replacements do. So the replacements are proposed to match the rest of the windows on the house. But I defer to questions from the board and to the applicant.
And just to double check, Mr. Vargas, can you hear us and are you on?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, awesome. So are these, this is Commissioner Wing, are these original windows or are they already replacement windows that you're,
The one that's closest to the truck there looks like it's original. The other one is not. And I've had this house for about 20 years. I love this house. It's so cool. But during the inspection in January, the inspector wrote that he wanted the window, the one that doesn't have the slats in it. He wanted that one replaced. And so that's what started this whole thing. And then actually it's one that somebody manufactured years ago. Like I say, before my time, before 20 years ago. So in looking at it, you know, the other one was in rough shape. And then we looked at windows to replace them. They're going to be a lot nicer. They're going to be casement windows, which allow for better airflow. And it seems like the right thing to do. But it was all started by, you know, just an inspection and them recommending that we replace this one window. So, and I think by replacing the 2 of them, it'll be a nice thing for the house. You can barely see these windows from the road, but I think they'll even look better than they currently do.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from commissioners on this? Okay, this is Commissioner Wing again. I don't see that there are any grills on either of these windows, either the original window or the replacement window. Is that correct?
No, the new, if you could go down to where the new window is, it should have a grill. I think it said something like 6/1.
I think she means on either side of the home. So here's the replacement one right here. Those are proposed 6/1, but on both sides of the home, they appear to be just regular.
Oh, you know, I think it's because of the maybe the lighting or something. because the one that's on the driveway side definitely has, though, is definitely a 6/1. It's original. The other one, like I say, somebody made that on their workbench before my time. But there's definitely a 6/1 on the other side.
Okay. I guess I'm just having a hard time seeing that.
I know, is it?
That's
And
fine.
I don't think I see it either, but it's probably just because of the storm.
Okay.
And they're double hung. Is that, this is Commissioner Souza, they're double hung. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes. Yep. That's correct. And rest of the, I own 3 of the houses on Collingwood, and this house is unique how they have the weights in the windows. It's like they really, it was a premium window. So most of the windows in this house are in really good shape. It's just these, the one in the attic is in really bad shape, and the other one was replaced years ago.
I'm trying to move back and forth here on the document. And you are replacing them with Impervia casements. What is Impervia? Is that vinyl? Is that fiberglass?
Jeff's on. He's the one that's is my general contractor with this. If you unmute Jeff, he can tell you more about that.
Yep.
Okay, do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. It's a fiberglass material. These are going to be casement windows that look like double hung, okay, so they can meet the egress requirements up top in that area of that house. Nothing on the outside of the house is going to get changed. Any of the trim that you see on the outside, these windows are going to be inserted from inside the house into the opening. So you won't even, none of the trim on the outside or going up to the new window will ever change on this house. It's just the physical window itself. And they'll look like casement, they'll look like double hungs, but they're going to be casements for the egress portion.
So the switch from double hung to case, this is Aaron Souza. The switch from casement to double hung to casement concerns me. Jake, can you talk about egress requirement? Can you help us understand this?
Unfortunately, that's more of a building code thing. We don't really deal with a lot of that on the zoning side. Mr. Rawrig might be able to help a little more with that. It's the contractor.
Yeah, you have to have, and I can't read what size that is, but when we went over this, we had a meeting out there like Frank was talking about with the inspectors, and this window here will meet the egress requirement where a double hung, it's kind of a marginal situation. You can get, all these do is crank out, okay? They're gonna look exactly like the existing windows as a double hung fixture, okay? Except they just won't go up and down. These 2 in particular windows will crank out. The rest of the windows, like Frank said, are good in the house. These 2, especially the one, I can stick my hand between the 2 sashes and stick it outside the window.
So sort of marginal situation is not the same as doesn't qualify for egress.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Because we're trying to keep the original frame on the outside of the house, so the whole outside of the house looks the same. So that's why we have to go with a casement window to get the egress, because it takes up less space. The frame is smaller to put in the opening. Okay. If we go with the double hungs, then we have to take the trim on the outside of the house out and put a whole new window in there and then re-trim it, okay? So we're trying to keep as much as possible of the original house there so it all matches. And that's why the casement window looks like a double hung, but it's a casement, so it matches the windows that are in the house.
So how wide is the, how wide is the borders of the window compared to the current window?
You're talking about the exterior trim boards? is what you're talking
No, the window itself, the edges and rails of the windows, they're wider than the current one?
No, what I'm saying is the whole window itself, we're going to keep the original window frame in the building along with the trim on the outside that attaches to that frame. So the whole frame is going to stay the same. All we're doing is taking the stop on the inside of the window, on the inside of the house off. And we're going to slide these windows in that existing frame. And the only way to do that is with this casement window and still meet the egress requirement. Otherwise, we would be requesting to take the trim off the outside of the house, okay, and replace it with a double hung and then put the trim back on. This is a much better way of doing it and keeping the aesthetics of the exterior of the house the same is what we're trying to do here.
So it looks like they're like 3 1/4 inches, the borders of the window. Is that right? And is that more than the current window?
I don't think it is actually.
So Commissioner Souza, I think the issue here may be that, and the applicant or his agent can correct me where I'm wrong here, but I think that by replacing a double hung with a casement window, that in case of an emergency, the window opening itself is bigger, so that somebody who has to exit from the window could get out the window easier if it's a casement versus than if it's double hung.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
That's correct.
And is the attic living space, because this is a rental, correct?
Yes.
And is the attic living space, do you have that space rented and is somebody sleeping in the attic?
We're working on that right now. We made some changes to the house as far as the city requested that we put in a new stairway because the other stairway that's been there for 100 years was too steep. So we're making modifications right now. And part of it is these windows.
So fair to say that the attic previously has not been a sleeping area and you're upgrading the home to be able to add a bedroom basically in the attic?
It was debatable. It was debatable. So the city had, when I got the house, I always thought it was a sleeping room and my drawing showed it was a sleeping room, but but the ones that the city had showed it was storage. So I've took those drawings to them, but what we've had is we've had Tim and others from the city come over and tell us how this would be, what kind of changes we would need to make this a perfect sleeping room. So that's what we're doing right now. And this is one of the things that they requested is that we put these casement windows in. And again, the windows probably wouldn't have been replaced at all if the city hadn't asked me to start down this path. So
Commissioner Souza, did you have more questions? Is that a no?
No, I have no more questions.
Any other questions from the other commissioners? So my question is about the grills. When I'm looking at the quotes from the Pella quotes, the detail, the grill detail is down towards the bottom, and it says grill GBG, comma, no custom grill, 3/4 inch contour, top row, white. Can you explain to me exactly what these grills are? Are these simulated divided lights? Are they true divided lights?
They're not true divided lights. There'll be one single piece of glass from the bottom to the top, and the grills then are applied to that glass. Okay, so it makes it look exactly like the windows that are there inside and outside.
I mean, applied grills. I mean, there is a reason that there are simulated divided lights, and that is that, especially from angles, like from below, they clearly look more like a, they look much more like a divided light. We understand that creating a divided light is not one of the things that is really marketable or sensible anymore. Can you talk a little bit about why you're using vinyl?
Well, we're actually using fiberglass. We're not using vinyl.
Okay. Sorry.
The fiberglass just makes a stiffer, more secure, tighter window. I put them on my personal house, and they just don't ever deteriorate. Okay, and they're better than vinyl windows, and that's why we're going with that. They're going to have somewhat of a wood looking texture on the outside, ever so slightly. That's the other thing with the fiberglass versus the vinyl. The vinyl is going to just would be just a slick white finish, okay, where the fiberglass is going to have a little bit of etching type of wood grain on the outside and the inside.
Are we past the public hearing, or are we still in that?
It hasn't been opened yet.
Okay.
So this is Commissioner Wing. I'm trying to balance the safety issue here versus the fact that trying to make a casement window look double hung is almost impossible under the best of circumstances, and without true divided lights, I don't think it's going to be accomplished, quite frankly. Even though these windows are really high up, I mean, it's third floor, essentially, I think they're going to look very odd if they're not simulated or true divided lights, especially that horizontal member that's trying to mimic like the sash, if you will. You know, it's trying to create a sash where there is none, that middle sash or the middle rail. But again, if there is going to be somebody sleeping up there, I can certainly understand where a casement window gives better access should somebody have to actually go out that window.
And that's what, I mean, yeah, we had a whole bunch of people look at the room, and yes, and that's what the city and everybody is recommending, is this window. And from everything I've seen, I think it's going to look really good. Like you say, too, you know, the little minute things, you can't even tell there's, you know, from the pictures we have, which are pretty nice pictures, that there's even grills in the existing window. So I think these are going to look really good. And this was not a cheap window. Well, there's a lot of ways we could have done it less expensive, but this is the best window that that we feel for this room.
Okay, thank you both. I will ask for other attendees if there are any, if there is anybody on the phone or in the meeting who would like to speak regarding this application for 219 Collingwood Drive. This is your opportunity to speak about this application.
Please indicate so by raising your hand. Okay.
All right, thank you. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Thank you, Mr. Vargas, and I'm sorry I never got the last name of Jeff, who was with you. Thank you, Jeff.
Oh, you're welcome.
Bring it back to the commission. Does anyone have a motion regarding this particular application? We do need a motion in order to discuss it.
I'll make a motion to approve, or in the case of 219 Collingwood Drive, I'll make a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness as submitted based upon the above information, citing Secretary of Interior Standards number 5 and 6, and also City of East Lansing Historic District Commission Preservation Guideline number 10, subject to the following conditions: material being used must be what's included in the application.
This is Commissioner Souza, second.
And was that Commissioner Gray who made the motion?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I have a motion by Commissioner Gray, seconded by Commissioner Souza. This is the opportunity for the commission to discuss.
Does anybody does anybody know anything about what do we know about the fiberglass windows?
They have been approved here before, just as a new composite material, but everything we do per usual is case by case. So,
right, I understand.
But we've seen them before. It's been approved more frequently than vinyl.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, this is Commissioner Gray. This is a very nice window. It is very high quality, in my opinion, and I think that it'll make a good addition to this house.
My only concern is that the casement's going to look really different than the other double hungs in the rest of the house, and including I fear that the dimensions of the edges of the window will look different than the rest of the house, and that will be particularly noticeable.
I agree with both of you. I think the part that offsets it for me is the fact that these windows are substantially higher. They're not even the second floor, they're in the attic. So for that reason, I would say I will be voting yes for this. Any other comments from either Commissioner Hendricks or Commissioner Fox-Brown?
No.
Okay, Mr. Purcell, will you call a roll call vote? We have a motion by Commissioner Gray, seconded by Commissioner Souza, to approve the certificate of appropriateness for 219 Collingwood Drive as using the materials and dimensions as submitted in the application as per Secretary of Interior Standards 5 and 6, as well as City of East Lansing Guideline number 10.
Yes. So all in favor, Commissioner Souza?
Yes.
Commissioner Hendricks?
Yes.
Commissioner Gray?
Yeah.
Commissioner Fox-Brown?
Yes.
And Chair Wing?
Yes.
All right, Frank, you're approved for windows. Since you're not changing the size, you don't need a building permit. I will get you your letter early next week.
Hey, thank you all, you guys.
Yes, and thank you so much for your patience since we've been talking since March.
I know. It has been a while. It's held it up a little bit, but we all understand.
Yes, take care and thank you very much.
Thanks.
Good luck with the project. Thank you. All right, moving on to public hearing C. A public hearing will be held for the purpose of considering a request from Heather Miller for the property located at 609 Sunset Lane to replace the second-story windows with new replacement windows. Mr. Parcell.
Yes. So she was in here. I don't know what happened. But I can speak on her behalf just because I know this is technically relatively difficult. So she is looking to use new Anderson windows to improve the energy efficiency for this property. Excuse me. The windows are on the second story. There's one not visible from the street and one that is at first story at the back of the house. So that's also not visible from the street. and 4 that are going to be visible, I do believe. They're going to be scattered throughout the house a little bit. So one is behind the chimney there. And then there's photos from the inside and outside of each of them, which I can scroll through in a moment. But I believe that they're going to be, they're going to be double hung windows with no grill style, which I think matches the existing. As for the material, I believe that it is going to be a clad window, but I can't seem to find that right now in here. But I am open for questions while I browse. I don't know what happened to Ms. Miller. I can email her really quickly, but I'm alone on this one.
So I have a question.
Yep, she emailed me and said that she had to leave. If you wanted to reschedule it, she would let me know. But I can take any questions for her while it's up here now, since I know that things have already been pushed around a little bit.
What material is it?
I'm looking. So I don't see one in here that's listed. I was led to believe that they're clad windows, but I am not sure if that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Let me check her emails really quickly. Oh, here we go. Similar to the last one, this is a material called Fibrix, which is a wood and epoxy gel solid created by Anderson Windows. And I just found the material here. So it's this type of specific material made by Anderson Windows.
Okay, thank you.
Well, and I noticed that, and the copy of the itemized order receipt is sort of hard to read in the package, in the agenda package. But I noticed there's no grills listed except for the upstairs grills, and I'm concerned that these are being replaced without grills when there's clearly grills in all of the windows.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I see. Okay. I can.
It occurs to me that we have enough questions here that would be useful to have Heather here for. That maybe the fairest thing to do for her is to just postpone or table it. I don't know what the proper solution is.
We can make a motion to table it, and then I'll follow up with her on Monday and see what she is okay with.
Do I have a motion to table?
So moved, Commissioner Souza.
Second. Commissioner Marcella.
Thank you. So I have a motion to table the application for 609 Sunset Lane by Commissioner Souza, seconded by Commissioner Fox Brown. May I have a roll call vote on this, please?
Yes, you can. Commissioner Souza?
Yes.
Commissioner Hendricks?
Yes.
Commissioner Gray?
Yes.
Commissioner Fox Brown?
Yes.
Chair Wing?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, I'll reach out to her and we will refine that.
Great, thank you. Moving on to item D. Jake, I saw that this has been withdrawn, is that correct?
It has been. Here is the letter from the applicant. They withdrew, waiting until a little later this year.
Okay, so we do not need a motion on that since they withdrew prior to the meeting, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move to item E. A public hearing will be held for the purpose of considering a request from Mara Leichtman for the property located at 407 Marshall Street to replace the existing siding with new vinyl siding, replace all existing windows with new replacement windows, and replace the front door. Mr. Purcell.
Yes, so I am allowing Leichtman and her contractor, Mr. Mead, to speak. This is a relatively comprehensive replacement of a lot of the exterior of this building that includes windows, siding, front door, and building a small porch on it. The existing siding material is wood and aluminum. The applicant is proposing to use a vinyl product. There's 13 entire windows being replaced throughout the whole structure. In the staff report, I recommend that the application should be broken down into different motions for each replacement, just because if one thing can be replaced, I kind of want all of it to, go through as it can. But yeah, it's a relatively comprehensive project. I will defer to the applicants because there's a lot going into it, and they are been working on it for a lot longer than myself.
Yeah, excuse me for interrupting. This is Don Mead. I'm a builder here, and I've done a lot of work over the years in East Lansing in that historical area and stuff there. And I just looked at their house and stuff like that. The windows are they're old windows. They're just wore out, warped, and stuff like that. And they do have one arch window in the upstairs, which is an Anderson. I'm quite sure it's an Anderson 200 series, which is a vinyl clad. And we can get that same window, vinyl clad windows like that, with the concealed grid in them, with the grid in between the glass, which will basically look just like it does now. It's got grids in it now on it. And that way they would all look alike on there. But we got in the siding, it's in bad shape. So it needs to be completely redone on that.
This is Commissioner Wing, if I could interrupt for a moment. It's
my
understanding in reading the application that the exterior siding is aluminum. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's aluminum.
And that there's wood siding underneath it.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're proposing removing both the aluminum siding and the wood siding. So both layers of siding would come off.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Then if we go back with vinyl siding, in a few years back, I don't know, time gets away from it, we did put a vinyl siding on the house in that area there, right on Hill Street. We had used a matte finish triple three vinyl siding, and it looked just like a 3-inch wood siding, matte finish, like it had been painted. But they tore the house down when they put the condos in there, so I can't really show you the house. But we've done, like I say, done a lot of work over in that area on Crescentwood and over like that. But I think that would be the best way to fix it. And if we put windows in it, like the 200 series Andersons, then run casing around the outside where it's wrapped, it'll look basically like it does now, but a little different color and a lot better shape. But I did look at the house and go over it. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. It's hard to do this over phone. There's always.
I know it. I'd rather look at people.
So I'm going down the list that was included, and I'm assuming that's your handwriting. It appears to be your handwriting. It matches the handwriting that's on the application as well. So you've got a numbered list. So we've talked about siding, which is listed as 1A. We've talked about 2, replace the existing windows, 13 windows with the 200 series Anderson. Item number 3 says build a 5x4 porch, and it looks like it says porch roof.
Yeah.
Okay. What are you proposing to build the porch and the porch roof out of? What material are you proposing to use?
It'll be wood, treated wood. On the porch, they did have a side porch on they had to take down when they treated the basement and the front steps and stuff. And but yeah, we figured on just going with treated wood, southern yellow pine understructure, and steps like that. We could go to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I apologize. And I was going to ask a little bit about the roof as well, because there's no schematic for the roof within the package that we received. What is the design for the porch roof that you're proposing?
It'll match the gable just like it's on the house. So it'll look like it's supposed to be there. And we'll put the roof on, then put a soffit underneath of it, which would probably be aluminum or vinyl.
Is that the
white?
Would that porch be on the front or the side?
Well, they want one on the front and the side. They had one on the side that, whether it tore down or fell down or something. And then the front one, they just had a step on there. But they kind of wanted the porch on the front too, which would make it nice for, in and out in the front door. But that's
okay. So that's the porches on the front and the side.
Mm-hmm.
Can I jump in here? This is Mara Leichtman and my partner,
of course.
Johnson.
Yeah.
I'm going to let Bank just explain the massive waterproofing and bracing project we did last summer that led to some of the tearing down of what we had to do.
Yeah, we had, our basement flooded and it was partially finished, and I had to tear out the drywall in the basement and discovered that it was leaking between the blocks. So we dug out around the house, which then we had to remove the front porch and the side porch to waterproof the basement from the outside. And so the side porch is just going to match what you have on the picture there from around 2008 or so. And the front porch, I've fallen twice on the step there in the winter because it collects ice from the roof. So I'm kind of tired of that. So putting a front porch with a roof that matches the existing roof will prevent that.
Water also comes inside the front door when it rains really hard. So we do need to start protecting the entrance and the safety of us and anybody that delivers our mail or comes to the either entranceway with proper porches.
And I'm not sure where we at, because you want to split it up into the siding, windows, and the porch. So I had some, when it comes to all this whole project, it makes sense to do all together because we want new construction window with a flange, which prevents air leak or potential air leaks also. And as far as the siding, if you want me to address that right now, I can do that.
Certainly, go ahead.
Okay, so the siding, as Mr. Mead pointed out, it's pretty in bad shape because after utility companies have drilled holes in it, it looks like a Swiss cheese. So we're going to pull that off. I'm going to pull the sheathing off the house and insulate the stud between the studs with a closed cell foam. Right now, the wall, the exterior wall has no insulation, has an effective R value of 5. So I'm gonna pull the sheathing off, insulate and closed cell, sheathing back on, foam, and a tie-back wrap, and then the siding. So that's gonna put an air barrier and a waterproof barrier, and of course the vapor barrier with the closed foam, and bring the wall up to about R21 effective. That's considering the studs in the wall. So that's what we're trying to do.
And for my, so to make sure that I understand, when you use the terminology sheathing, are you talking about the original wood siding is going to go back on, and then you are going to put vinyl siding on top of the original wood siding?
No, there is no way you can pull off original wood siding and get it back on without it cracking. So that would not happen. And the siding, the original wood siding is hidden now by the ugly aluminum siding, so it doesn't have any R value at all. Well, maybe like 0.5 or so. So it has no, there's no point of putting that back on.
We've seen bits and pieces of it in some of the work that we did last summer, and it appears not to be in great condition, which is why we're assuming the previous owners a while back put the aluminum siding on, which is no longer in fashion.
Can you talk a little bit about the choice of vinyl rather than like a composite or something else like that that looks more like wood?
I think Mr. Mead can speak to that.
Yeah, you could. They do make a cement siding, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's something that's got to be painted every 3 or 4 years. Vinyl is your best for long term and low maintenance on it. I think if they go with like a smooth or a matte finish, it's going to look more like wood than regular wood grain siding on it. And we've, because any wood siding you're going to put on, and if you can get it, yeah, you're just inviting woodpeckers in and stuff, and it's just constant maintenance on it. And I know we repaired quite a bit over in that area from woodpeckers and stuff. And it just makes a good sense to me to, if you can put a vinyl on there that's going to look like, when you get done with it, it's going to look like it's painted. So be it. That's going to look the best.
Any other comments on the siding?
Pardon?
I was just asking in general if there's other comments or questions about the siding.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Don't apologize. You don't.
Do you know what the original siding was? It looks like it's a mixture.
It's wood.
Is it what?
Wood with aluminum over it.
Okay, item number 4 talks about replacing the front door with a metal door that matches the existing.
Mm-hmm.
There's also reference to a back door. Are you replacing anything on the side? Are you replacing the door on the side?
No.
Okay.
No.
Only front and back. So we don't have any purview on the back door because the back door isn't visible from the street.
Yeah.
But I'm curious as to why you would be replacing a wood door with a metal door.
Well, the wood door is warped and kind of beat up on there, and you can get a metal door. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Does it operate? Does it open and close?
Let me address that. The door changes by the season. So when it rains a lot, it does get very swollen and opens with great difficulty. It has a doorknob that's located too close to the side, so you get your hands jammed all the time. Doesn't properly seal, and as I noted, there's a lot of water when it rains heavily because we have no overhang that comes right underneath the front door into the house, as well as pooling on what used to be our front step. As you see in that photo, we have a temporary walkway that absolutely needs to be replaced before the next winter season. So the door does need to be replaced. There's also the screen door. Address the screen door, which is broken.
Well, the screen door, that saved me on one of my falls. So I had to grab onto the handle. So that's work too.
It does placed.
Well, the nice thing about it, Ben, I hope you didn't scream and embarrass everybody else when you fell.
No, I just limped away with it.
I'm sorry.
Are there any questions from the commissioners about the doors? Okay, item number 5 says trim all new windows to match existing, trim all new doors to match existing. What material would be what material would you be using for trimming the windows and doors?
On the outside, to make it look like the existing one, we put the windows in, then run a casing, like a 1 by 2 1/4 inch casing around the outside of it. Then that's wrapped with either aluminum trim or vinyl trim to match the trim on the house. And the inside, probably use colonial casing, whatever they got in there now, whether it be colonial or modern or.
And just so you know, we don't have any purview on the inside of the house at all. So whatever you want to do on the inside is totally up to you folks.
Yeah. But,
okay. So either vinyl or aluminum casings on the outside.
Yeah, because that's what it got now. So to accent it, when you put the windows in and stuff, and put that around and wrap the windows, it just looks 100% better.
Yeah, the store there are now, they're aluminum. So whatever's going to be replaced with is going to look a lot better.
And let me just say that half of the windows really aren't functional. They're warped shut. They cannot be opened. The wood is splintering on some of them. The paint is flaking. The screens are torn. Those that do open do so with huge difficulty, and they slam shut on their own if there's a gust of wind, or they won't stay up, which is also a safety hazard, aside from the fact that we are getting increasingly hot summers and I need to have better airflow in the house. We currently do not have air conditioning, which we need to wait for the rest of the house project to finish before we can install an air conditioner. So this has already been considerably delayed this summer, and it's a huge heat wave, as you well know. So it is important to get working windows in the house for better airflow and for more usability.
Say that the windows were aluminum?
The storm windows on the outside are aluminum, yes.
And are the current windows, the inside, the actual window itself, are they wood?
They're wood, and we would go with a wood interior with the Anderson 200 series that Mr. Mead can tell you more about, but that we would replicate what we can to the best of our ability and affordability.
Yeah, I think for the look, to match the one upstairs and stuff like that, if you go to a double hung 200 series Anderson, and they're white, and they're all insulated glass, argon gas in it, got low E in the glass and everything, top line window on it. If you get a wood window, if you can find some, yeah, they're a special order. Then you got paint, you got all that stuff to do every year. So I just think my personal opinion is better. It's going to look nice. It's going to look like got grills in it and stuff like that. And it'll look nice and it'll be low maintenance. And they're talking about if they go with siding, they want to go kind of a bluish gray with white trim, which I think would be a nice combination.
Let me also just note that a couple of the existing windows are missing their grills that have fallen off before I moved in 15 years ago. So replacing the windows would also replace all of the grills and have more consistency with the look of the house.
So are you saying that the windows are not original to the home? They've been replaced once already?
No, upstairs we have some windows that were not original to the home. I believe the rest of them are, but the grids have fallen off. They were exterior grids, and some of the windows, especially in the back, are missing their grids, which were originally there.
Okay.
Yeah, and these windows here, the 200 series, the grids are in between the glass, or concealed grids. So there's no falling off grids or anything like that. They're pretty secure.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to skip item number 6 because insulation and paint really is not, again, doesn't really come into the commissioner's, the commission's purview. But item 7, and it has a question mark. It says install 4-inch overhang on roof of house. Can you explain what that means, please? And is that part of this certificate of appropriateness? I notice it's not mentioned actually in the application itself, but
yeah,
it's part of this entire project, right?
Well, yeah, I haven't discussed that with Mara and Ben that much on there. There's 2 or 3 different ways of doing that.
Let me address that. The 4-inch overhang is very common in the historic district on the older houses. For some reason, this Cape Cod doesn't have that, and it's very a lot of water flows down on the siding and the windows.
And the front door.
And the front door, yeah, which will be taken care of with the porch. But the 4-inch overhang will protect the windows and the siding from water flowing down on the side of the house, on the gable side.
So
and again, we just had a whole waterproofing project last summer because we've had a lot of flooding in the basement. So that's just an extra step to help improve the safety and the condition of the home more generally. And all of our neighbors have overhang. It's just this house that does not.
Right, and I'm just trying. I'm just trying to understand. Are you talking about a 4-inch overhang on both the front and the back of the house, as well as the overhang over the gables? So the entire roof line would be extended 4 inches completely,
Correct.
or just the front and back roof line?
No, all the way around the house.
All the way around. Okay.
Yeah, that I'll have to get together with Ben and Mara on. We haven't got into that. There's 2 or 3 different ways you can do that, and it's certainly doable.
Okay, that was a lot to go through. Thank you for that. Additional questions from the commissioners, Okay, thank you very much. I'll open it up for the rest of the public hearing. Is there anybody else in attendance of the meeting who would like to speak regarding this application for 407 Marshall Street? Okay, seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Jake, I'm assuming there were none?
I don't see anyone.
Okay, thank you. All right. Thank you to the applicants as well as to Mr. Mead. All right, back into the commission. Do I have a motion? Or is there a motion? I must say that I'm a little concerned that any of us can really make a motion that will do justice to this application, given how extensive the application is and the variety of projects that are associated with it. So I think if anyone is going to make a motion, we're literally going to have each individual item be motioned separately.
Yeah, all right. So I feel for the homeowners. that being said, if we just do these one at a time, right? I mean, I guess, so I would, this is Souza. I would move to deny the application on the siding based on Secretary of Interior Standards 5 and 6.
Second.
Commissioner
Hendricks, second.
Thank you. So I have a motion from Commissioner Souza, seconded by Commissioner Hendricks, to deny the request to replace the siding based on Secretary of Interior Standards 5 and 6. Discussion from the commission.
So I completely understand that this is Aaron again. I completely understand that the aluminum and things like that may not be serving a purpose, and that they're looking to provide better insulation, and that perhaps there does need to be replacement, but we've been pretty consistent about not using vinyl and instead using things like composites or wood. And I happen to say I have 10-year-old composite on the back of my garage, and it's fine. And we have approved it numerous times. I recognize it's probably more expensive, but in general, vinyl has just not been one of the things that we've approved for the historic districts. It doesn't last as well, and it's noticeable in the appearance of the house.
This is Commissioner Wing. I'm also concerned that the applicant is proposing completely removing the original wood siding from the home, which is not indicated whatsoever through the Secretary of Interior standards. To completely remove original siding so that it could not be revealed at a later time is simply not appropriate. Commissioner Gray, did you have a comment?
No, I agree with Aaron on the use of vinyl over the option of composite.
And I would also make the comment that given that the current siding is aluminum, I believe that the commission has also approved a like for like, so that if the applicant wanted to replace the current aluminum siding with new aluminum siding, that that is potential a potential material that may be approved as well.
If you did aluminum, I could do it administratively because it is a matching material.
Can we just say a few words before you vote, please?
I'm very sorry. We've closed the public hearing aspect of this, and given that we have so much to vote on here, we will absolutely be happy to chat with you after the meeting. Thank you. So Commissioner Hendricks or Commissioner Fox-Brown, any comments?
I agree that we don't want to remove something that's the original condition. That aluminum would be a good choice for other materials comparable that were mentioned by him. So I deny.
Okay, Mr. Parcell, will you call a roll call vote, please? This is to deny the portion of the application that would remove the aluminum and the original siding and replace it with vinyl siding.
Yes. So a vote in favor is to deny this portion of the application. Commissioner Souza.
Yes.
Commissioner Hendricks.
Yes.
Commissioner Gray.
Yes.
Commissioner Fox-Brown.
Yes.
Chair Wing.
Yes.
Okay.
Do we have a motion for the request to replace the existing windows with 200 series Anderson? Mr. Purcell, point of order, is the chair allowed to make a motion?
No.
So I'll do it. A motion to deny the certificate of appropriateness for new windows based on secretary standards 5 and 6.
I have a motion to deny replacing the existing windows. Is there a second?
Souza, second.
Okay, motion from Hendrick, seconded by Souza to deny. Comments from the commissioners? This is Commissioner Wing. My own comment is I think that, again, with some tweaking on the application and with more information, more detailed information, schematics, actual examples of the material being requested, a quote which actually details what the windows will look like, I think that there would be greater willingness to consider replacing the existing windows. My feeling is that we just don't have enough information, enough detailed information about replacing these windows at this point.
Sorry, I do need to say something here. We did not receive the Zoom link or the actual application that all of you saw until late last night when everybody else had at least a week's notice. We've been out of the loop on a lot of this despite regular communication with Jake. We did send Jake numerous emails over the past 3 months, I believe, with a lot of information from Anderson, numerous PDF files that detailed a whole lot of information that never made it into the existing PDF that you've all seen. So we did provide all of that information. It just didn't get to you all. And given the pandemic, this has already been seriously delayed. And I'm a professor at MSU. I just need to say we had 2 hours to transition to remote teaching. So really it's inexcusable that it's now the middle of July. Construction has been going for 2 months now. Many of us are already experiencing not only the pandemic, but economic crisis, reduced wages, considerably reduced wages for some of us, and retirement benefits. And this has already put a huge damper in our summer when I at least need to be working from home now, but especially all next year. So this absolutely cannot drag on and on and on for me. We've patiently waited until July when your commission has not met for 4 months, and we did provide everything that Jake asked in advance that you never received. So I'm really not sure what to do here, but delaying this for more information, especially that we've already provided, really is not fair to us when we have done all we could to communicate with you in advance, and again, did not receive the Zoom link or the agenda after we reached out to Jake several days ago until late last night to even see what you received, which also included the original photo of our house that I never had as a homeowner here for 15 years. We actually had to pay a surveyor to survey the property because that was not existing in the city files when we needed to do all of this waterproofing work and major excavation last summer. So I, again, just really want to make an appeal that this is a pandemic, this is an economic crisis. We have both been affected financially. We've had a major waterproofing and bracing project of the foundation of the house last year. And this is already major renovations to finish the job we started last year at reduced salary and benefits for both my partner and myself. It is the middle of July and we really need to get going on this. So with all due respect, we're happy to work with you, but just to deny everything and tell us to provide more information, which we already did that Jake has not sent to you, I really don't think that's fair.
Yeah, so here's the window specs that were in the application. The rest is the Anderson series guide here for additional showing. And we do apologize for not getting you the link. It was bounced back to us for some reason from the email and it didn't go through. quite possibly when we send it out, because I didn't send the link, Mr. Mead's name was on the application, so your email wasn't listed there. And we're already in City Hall reduced hours, so I didn't see your email until I came in last night for Planning Commission.
And I do apologize, Ms. Leichtman, if there was information that was provided that's not in the package. I'm looking at the information, the Anderson 200 series window information, and I'm still not seeing a direct quote that details exactly what the home at 407 Marshall, what the windows at 407 Marshall Street are going to be replaced by. For example, typically when a home is going to have their windows replaced, any contractor or if you work directly with Pella or with Anderson, they'll come out and they'll measure the windows and they'll give you an actual estimate with schematics, similar to a couple of the other applicants that were earlier. Which one? Collingwood had a schematic of what the window looked like. Do you have
Dr.
that?
Mead, Mr. Mead can address that because we've asked him for a quote.
But do you actually have that quote? Was that provided to Mr. Parcell? That gives us the detail for us to be able to make a decision on. Okay. And Jake, Mr. Parcell and I can talk after the meeting to determine if there's a way for us to meet secondarily to talk about the windows. If you do have an actual quote, we potentially could talk about it separately. But at this point, though, there's not enough detail in the application regarding the windows to be able to move on it, which I'm Commissioner Hendricks at this point because he actually made the motion.
Okay, I just assumed everybody knew what a Anderson 200 was real looked like or was.
Right, and we do. I mean, we understand what the product looks like, but that product is individual for each application. And when I say application, for any homeowner who's putting a new window in, the window looks slightly different, and there's options for the window that could be different depending on the person who's buying the windows. And so that's what we're looking for, is detailed specifications. For example, simulated divided lights or true divided lights. Are they going to be 8/8 double hungs? We don't have any of that. So because we don't have those specifications, that particular aspect of the application is incomplete, frankly.
Yeah, well, as to whether you got 4/4 or whatever, it depends the size of your window.
Right, and
I mean, your
and I do apologize. I'm so sorry, Mr. Mead. We've got such a big agenda here that we really do need to be able to move through and make some decisions, not only for yourself but for the applicant, so that if changes or if additional information is needed, Ms. Leichtman can present that information after the meeting. So in terms of the windows, I have a motion from Commissioner Hendricks, seconded by Commissioner Souza, to deny the replacement of the windows. And do let me state here, the commission does not have purview on the portions of your house that are not visible from the street. So if you wish to replace the windows on the back of your home or on what would be the west side of your home, that's not visible from the street. So we would only be acting on the windows that are visible directly from Marshall Street, which is the front of your home, and relatively the east side of your home, the driveway side of your home. So that's just a clarification. Okay, are there any other comments from commissioners? Okay, seeing none, Mr. Parcell, will you call a vote, please?
Commissioner Sousa.
Yes.
Commissioner Hendricks.
Yes.
Commissioner Gray.
Yes.
Commissioner Fox Brown.
Yes.
Chair Wing.
Yes. Okay, let's get to the next piece of this. The next, and again, I'm using the handwritten items since this gives more detail. The next item is in regard to the porch and the porch roof for the front door and the side door. Are there any motions, or is there a motion from the commission regarding this aspect of the application?
So this is Aaron Souza. Based on Secretary of Interior Standards 5 and 6, I would move to deny the porch with the stipulation that a wood stoop is, actually I want to withdraw my motion. So they have a temporary stoop and a rail that doesn't look like it does anything, and we don't have a picture of a roof. So I have a lack of comfort with approving a porch and porch roof because I don't know what it would look like. On the other hand, I absolutely understand they need to put in a real stoop that you can walk on with a rail. So I'm a little confused, Jake, as to, can they put in a stoop even if we pass a motion that says no porch?
It's a good question. I don't know. I guess I'm confused to what you're.
So when you look at when you look at the picture of the place,
yeah,
right, it's got as it is now, second from the bottom, right? I don't know what's going on with that stoop thing and that rail that's just a post with a 2x4 on it. That doesn't look like a good system.
That's their temporary one.
Yeah.
Right. So, I would assume that was because the foundation had to be trenched, and so they had to put something back up after the waterproofing was done.
Right.
Yeah.
So they could replace that with something sturdier, even if we, as a temporary, even if we did not approve a porch, given that they put something in this time. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, per usual, I think you're the one who cited it most for us is temporary additions are.
Yeah.
Fine.
Not our thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So I would move based on Secretary of Interior Standards 5 and 6 to deny the application for a porch and porch roof on the front or side.
Commissioner Hendricks, second.
And
okay, I have a, go ahead.
Nope, go.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Souza, seconded by Commissioner Hendricks to deny a front or side porch or roof. Yes, that's what I have.
Yeah, and in my discussion, I completely understand why a roof, a porch with a roof would be useful, important, might even be potentially applicable. And I don't know that you'd get all the votes you need on this commission, but you might get mine for something that looked appropriate for this house. But there, I don't have anything to go on that I could approve.
And this is Commissioner Wing. I agree with what you're stating. I think that a porch roof, I can understand that. Certainly the front of the house is practically flat, and that goes to the overhang, the 4-inch overhang as well that was talked about. I can understand that. The original porches or the original stoops on this home are concrete. Wood is not indicated. A wood porch and potentially a wood roof would not look correct. So I think the material being proposed as well is not appropriate for this style and age of home. Are there any other comments by commissioners? Okay. Mr. Parcell, could you call the vote to deny the porch and the porch roof for the front and side of the home?
Yes. Commissioner Sousa,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendricks,
Yes.
Commissioner Gray,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox Brown, Chair Wing.
Yes. Okay, item number 4 is to replace the front door with a 9-light metal door to match the existing door. As I said earlier, we do not have purview on the back of the home, so we would not be commenting or approving one way or the other, or voting on what you want to do for the back door. So is there a motion regarding replacing the front inner door? This is the inner door that we're talking about, not the storm door.
Did I miss the specs for the door?
Simply that it's going to match the existing door. So we do not have, I cannot find, unless they've been sent earlier, I cannot find a specification for the manufacturer of the replacement door.
It's just the technical data. There's no photos of what is proposed.
Motion to deny based on the Secretary of Interior standards 4 and 5 for the metal door to be replaced.
It was a motion by Commissioner Hendricks. Do I have a second?
To Sousa, second.
Okay, thank you.
Perhaps the clarification, maybe that it's not replacing a metal door, but it would be replacing the wood door.
Wood door, yep, sorry, yep.
Any comments from commissioners?
I just don't think that the wood door should be replaced. I mean, it's been there for years to me. Maybe it could be repaired or some sort.
Agreed. I would like to see some attempt at waterproofing it and weatherproofing the door using spring bronze, a sweep at the bottom of the door. There's a lot of different, very low-cost alternatives to replacing it, especially replacing it with a metal door. Any other comments from commissioners? Mr. Parcell, could you call a roll call vote, please? This is to deny replacing the front door with a metal door that matches the existing, again, by Hendricks and Sousa.
Commissioner Sousa,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendricks,
Yes.
Commissioner Gray,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox Brown, I couldn't hear you if you said something.
Yes.
And Chair Wing.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, scrolling here. Item number 5 is regarding trimming the windows, but I'm not sure that we need to actually have a vote on that, given that the windows themselves were denied. But I will ask your opinion on that one, Mr. Parcell.
I think that's fair.
Okay.
Actually, 6 and 7 are not actually. Are they actually part of the application? Painting is not an issue for us.
Well, 6 isn't ours anyway. 7 is not part of the application.
Yeah.
So I would say that we have, I believe, and keep me honest here. Yes, I believe we have addressed everything that was in the application proper, as well as the handwritten additional information.
Okay. So the applicant has 60 days to submit additional supplemental information and come back to the HDC. I am happy to, when I get in the office Monday, reach out and set up a Zoom call with the chair and vice chair and discuss with you all how we can move forward on this if Vice Chair Wing is comfortable doing such.
Absolutely, yes. Completely understand the applicant's concerns and frustration. I've been through a very similar process myself. So we don't want to further delay what obviously you're very concerned about getting done, and we understand that.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on, public hearing F as in Frank. A public hearing will be held for the purpose of considering a request from Jason Weller for the property located at 345 University Drive to replace all lower level street facing windows with new replacement windows. Mr. Parcell.
Yes, sorry, 1 second. I'm getting everything back together. I've allowed the applicant to speak. He is muted. Let me share the screen really quickly. Yeah, so the application is to replace the lower level street facing windows, including the bay window on the house, with a new Pella Architect Series window. There's a quote here. You can see that the grids are laid out to match what is existing. I can go through it a bit slower in a minute, but excuse me. I will defer to the applicant for more on the existing materials, but yeah, they're replacing the windows along the street side of the home.
Yeah, thanks, Jake. This is Jason Weller, and yeah, so pretty straightforward. As far as we can tell, with talking with the folks from Pella, the windows are a combination of replacement windows from maybe sometime in the 90s. Well, I should say sometime in the range from the 70s to 90s. It's not all entirely clear. It looks like they're a mix. Some are Anderson or Pella windows. Actually, I think these on the front side are Anderson. The ones on the that we're planning to replace that aren't street facing, I think, are a mix. So as Jake pointed out, we made every effort to match up with the grids of all of the windows that we currently have in the house, so that there should not be any difference. If you look at the picture from the front, you'll notice that the window to the far right, which is our kitchen, those grids are actually out of the window, because right now most of the windows, the grids just pop on from the inside. And it's been with two small kids in the house, it's been a pain and windows getting slammed and opened, not by adult hands. It's been hard to keep the grids locked in, but we've tried as much as we could. So I think that I'm happy to answer any additional questions the commission members might have.
Thank you, Jason. So are any of these windows that you're talking about replacing, are any of them original to the house?
Not as far as we could tell. Now, like I said, it looks like the majority of them have been replaced at some point, but it's kind of haphazard as to guessing the age. The one window we're a little unclear on is the small window that's next to the front door. That's actually a bathroom window. And it is a casement window, which we're planning to replace with a casement window. But everything else, like I said, Tom Otis, that we've been working with from Pella, estimated that they were replaced somewhere between the 70s and 90s. And at this point, we're really dealing with a functionality issue. It's aside from the issue with the grills, trying to keep the grills on because they're attached on the inside. The majority of the windows will either not open at all or open very little, and then the R value that they're offering is basically next to nothing. The corner of the house, that's where there's one window facing the street and then one window facing the side yard, we've actually had to put a space heater in that room in the wintertime to keep it warm, because we're just losing so much heat from the house.
Questions from other commissioners? So you're not talking about replacing the two windows that are in the bump out that's above the front door, is that correct? That
is correct. They are, no idea when those were replaced, but they are relatively new by the standards of the other windows. Okay. Those are casement windows, and they're functioning 100% and actually insulated and everything else. So we didn't see a need to replace those at this time.
Okay, that was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
That those weren't called out.
Right.
Pretty much everything else was.
Yeah, right. They are actually doing exactly what we expect windows to do.
And then you're replacing the entire bay window that's on the side of the house.
Correct.
Do all three of those, because there's three windows that make up that entire bay.
Correct.
Are all three of those windows currently double hung with operable lower sashes?
Define operable?
Well, in the best of circumstances, the way they were originally designed, were the original windows meant to have operating lower sashes?
Yes.
Okay. And tell me about what kind of grills that you are proposing to use on this.
I'll actually defer to Jake on that one. I'm not a contractor. I can speak to the pattern, but as far as the grills, I know with talking with Tom, we were mimicking a install that was done 2 houses down from us. But I'll defer to Jake on answering the technical questions about the windows.
They look like simulated divided lights, right?
Yes, I believe they are. I'm going to stop sharing real quick and see if Tom specified more in the email he had sent me, but in the specs, I think that's what they're doing.
Page 102 of the packet shows that.
Yes. Yeah, I believe that Commissioner Sousa is correct. They all match what is existing on the home now.
Right, I'm just trying to figure out, are they simulated divided light or true divided light? I'm trying to...
Simulated.
Yeah, in the grill options, it looks like it, in the quote it said ITL, so I'm assuming that's the integrated light technology, which is simulated. It's the top left on the specification page.
Top left.
On page 27 of this submission.
Of the quote, of the Pella quote, you mean?
Of the spec book.
Oh, got you. Okay.
102 of the packet.
Right here.
There it goes.
Right there, the top left option.
Am I on the right page? Yes,
Yeah.
right here, right where I'm circling.
Can you make that a little bit bigger, Jake, please?
Not a problem.
Thanks.
Yeah, so it's not removable. It looks like it's Pella's. It's the ones where I think we learned about this when we had our session with Mr. Otis. Yep. It's the 2 windows with the foam inside. So it looks, and they're matched up on each side. So it essentially divides the pane on the interior without kind of inserting them.
And so, Mr. Weller, is that your understanding as to what this quote contains, is that type of grill?
That's definitely it. I'll answer for him.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
No, that part I did know because Tom was very explicit that the grills would not be removable.
Yep, it's right here. It says grill ILT, and that's what that is.
Yeah.
So it's the interior with the exterior placed over it to divide the window. So if you look, I remember Mr. Otis told us when he was at our meeting, if you look down into it, you won't be able to tell that it's actually one pane.
Right, and I know what it is. I just wanted to make sure that that's referenced correctly and completely on the quote that we're looking at. Yep. So
it's right there.
And so by Commissioner Gray saying that and you confirming it, got you. Okay.
Yep. Thank you, Commissioner Gray, for finding that.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from the commission? Okay, thank you. I will open it to the public hearing aspect. If there is anybody on the call or in the audience who would like to speak to this particular application, this is your opportunity to speak regarding 345 University Drive.
I do not see any hands.
Okay, thank you. So I'll close the public hearing. Thank you, Mr. Weller. Bring it back to the commission. If any of our commissioners, if any commissioner has a motion so that we can discuss the application.
I'll make a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness, citing Secretary of Interior Standards numbers 5 and 6.
This is Souza, second.
Okay. I have a motion by Commissioner Gray, seconded by Commissioner Souza to approve the certificate of appropriateness application based on Secretary of Interior Standards 5 and 6. Discussion? Are there any discussion points from the commissioners? Okay, Mr. Parcell, will you call a vote, please? This is, again, to approve the application as presented.
Yes. So Commissioner Souza.
Yes.
Commissioner Hendricks.
Yes.
Commissioner Gray.
Yes.
Commissioner Fox Brown.
Yes.
And Chair Wing.
Yes.
All right, Jason, I will send you your letter. I can just email it to you on Monday. I want to thank you very much for your patience through all of this. Understandably, we didn't want to hold you up for a few months, but we really do appreciate it. And congratulations.
Okay. Thank you, Jake, and thank you, commissioners. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too. Okay, moving on to item G. A public hearing will be held for the purpose of considering a request from Art Felton for the property located at 209 Kedzie Street to re-roof, add new siding, and install new eavestroughs. And I'm going to have to turn the light on in my office in order for me to read. Is Mr. Felton or an agent for Mr. Felton available?
Yes, I am allowed to speak. Yes. Yeah, so it's a exterior remodel on the structure, includes replacing the siding and roof. The new material for the siding is vinyl. The eaves troughs, as we discussed in previous meetings, are non-permanent additions. Again, this is one where if anyone wants to make a different type of motion for each one, feel free to separate your motions out for different repairs. But yeah, the siding is damaged and the eaves troughs are not currently working. There's a roof repair, which I can do administratively relatively easily, but since it's attached here, we need approval. But here's the siding information, and I am happy to defer to the applicant and scroll through here as anyone needs me to.
Okay, well, I would like to preface this by saying that I've renovated a 170-year-old building in Old Town Saginaw and a 150-year-old building in Old Town or downtown Bay City. So without knowing exactly what your folks' standards that you go by, I'm assuming that there's going to be an issue with the vinyl siding from what I'm hearing today. And if that's the case, I would defer or prefer that you folks let me know what I can do. The current siding is aluminum, it's damaged, it has holes in it. I need to do something with it in order to save the structure, and that's the same situation with the roof. The pictures that you're looking at are from January when I purchased the home. And you cannot see the damage to the top right portion of the roof. A tree limb had either hit it or something has happened where the shingles were damaged. And unfortunately, you can't see that from the picture. The previous owners owned this house for over 30 years. They told me at closing that they had never put a roof on it, that they had not done anything with the structure as it was a rental for them all those years. So I would replace the roof with I wanted to put a light gray or a medium gray siding on the home, and then add a black roof to it. And then just go with the white eaves troughs, but I understand that those aren't an issue. So I would defer to you folks to see how I can move forward with this project. And Jake, I sent you just within the last half hour, sent you 2 emails with estimates that I had, but I'm not sure they're, that the one for the siding is really going to matter.
Yep, let me pull it up really quickly. With the screen sharing, I've been trying not to pull that all up. But yeah, so I would recommend that we can approve the roof and we could approve the eaves troughs here now, and then we can give recommendations for the siding or approve the siding however everyone sees fit. Give me one.
Could we just confirm, is the current siding is aluminum, is that correct?
Yes, and according to the homeowners, they lived in that home when they attended Michigan State, and it was there at that point. So that siding is going on 40 plus years.
Do you know what size, how big it is? Because
how large the house is?
No.
Reveal.
The reveal of the siding. Because we're like, I mean, you could administratively get like for like approved.
Right, on the aluminum.
On the aluminum.
If
Yeah,
you
and
wanted
I didn't know that, or else I would have worked directly with Jay. I just wanted to make sure that I'm not doing something where I get in trouble.
We appreciate that.
Yeah,
we do.
I've learned from other projects to not ask forgiveness, but to make sure to get permission. So
as you've probably heard from, I mean, the odds of us approving vinyl are pretty low, but like for like, same reveal, same size siding, Jake can approve without us.
Can I change the color?
Yes.
Okay.
We have no purview over color. You can choose whatever color you would like.
Okay, cool.
Is that the course of action you'd like to go?
Yeah, that's fine. I haven't investigated vinyl aluminum because I thought I could go the vinyl route. But with that not being the case, I would rather just work with you with the aluminum and definitely get the roof taken care of as soon as I can.
Okay. Siding, I don't think we'll need a permit. The roof will. You can contact our building department for that, and I can review it as soon as I get it. If you want to go through with everything else, that's totally up to you. I could take care of that administratively on Monday, or whenever you submit the new information.
That's fine.
Okay.
So how do we?
I would ask. All right. So first, I want to say the commission has no problem with eaves troughs being added administratively as well.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I have no problem with it.
Yeah. Then I would ask Mr. Felton to withdraw, and I would thank him so much for his time and understanding.
I will withdraw, and thank you folks very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Felton, before you hang up, this is Commissioner Wing. One thing that we have asked of every applicant who is taking aluminum siding off of their home to replace it with new siding, we've asked that they please take photographs of the home once the existing aluminum siding has been taken off, but before you put the new aluminum on. We ask that you would take photographs of the front and the sides of the home so that we can have a record of what the original siding looks like at this point in time. And then just provide it to Jake. Doesn't have to be a professional photographer. You can just go out there with your cell phone and snap a few pictures.
Okay.
But just so we can put it in our files as to what the home looks like underneath the siding.
Great.
Wonderful.
No worries.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. You guys have a good night. Thank you.
Take care.
Well. Okay, that concludes the public hearings. Moving on to item 5, which is old business. It's not really a public hearing, but this is, I guess this is a reconsideration. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. Considering a request from Scott Stewart for the property located at 540 Charles Street to replace 2 windows due to broken counterbalance pulley assemblies.
Okay, so I'll hop in really quickly before I let the representative speak. We saw this in February. They turned in their information within their 60 days to rehear. Then the world kind of shut down, so we're here now. We denied at the time the application for these replacement windows, and we simply asked the applicant if they were able to go in and see if there was any way they could be rehabilitated. The applicant did look into them himself, which he can attest to, and found that had someone look at it. There was no ability to rehabilitate the windows. So they are back with the original windows that they were applying for the first time to fix the windows. And I will let Mr. Stewart speak on that.
Good evening, everyone. Appreciate it. I always get to learn a lot when I'm listening like this. Thank you. Directly to the point at hand, just one factual matter in error of Jake's rendition of the situation. We did hire 2 companies that specialized in window restoration to go out and look. They looked and didn't feel they could find the parts that were necessary for the counterbalancers. The only part of Jake's rendition of that I wanted to clarify to the committee was that we had originally submitted windows that were vinyl clad. Our subsequent submittal was to go and get, the original windows were wood casement window, or I'm sorry, not casement, but double hung wood windows. And we went ahead and got a quote to have those replicated with like materials. So in other words, they would be all wood. There would be no vinyl in the window. So it's 5 times the cost, but having understood the commission's concerns and wanting materials to be like as far as the replacement, and having had you all explain that in some detail, which we appreciate, we went out and got a supplemental quote to have them replaced with all wood that would then have to, be painted, but they would be a modern reproduction, if you will, of the windows that were originally installed in the house. So the only difference was we came back to report to the commission that we did explore a repair of the existing windows in place. The experts that we called out determined that that wasn't really possible. So then we determined, can we replace them with a window that's essentially a replica of the original window? And they said, sure, you can. Just get your checkbook out. So Mr. Miller, the owner of the home, said, well, let's do it. So that's where we are, is back before you today, hoping that we can get your approval to replace the 2 windows that the counterbalancers are broke on with windows that are all wood and a replica, essentially a modern replica of the original windows.
And this is Commissioner Wing, that's the quote from Davis Glass and Screen, is that correct?
That's correct.
And I'm going to always ask the question about grills. I don't see anything in the quote that talks about the grills.
They're internal.
But there's no mention, though, of what the grills, is it 6/6?
Oh, I see.
Those, I believe, were 8/8. I'm not sure, it's been so long, to be honest with you, but my recollection is they were 8/8.
They're 6/6 in the picture.
Okay. All right. That would be what it was. We had them come out and do an inspection and tell them we wanted to make exactly that. So.
Yep. There's the windows.
And oh, I see. Okay. Any other questions from the commissioners? So did we get a new certificate of appropriateness? I'm always a little bit confused as to how we handle a resubmission or an appeal if we
They just have to
have
submit new information, which in this case was that they had the rehabilitation specialist look at it and the new material. So same original replacement of the same windows, but new information to replace them with.
All right, so I will ask for a motion
So,
on this. I'm going to call it a reapplication, I guess.
so this is Susan. I move approval based on Secretary of Interior 5 and 6 with the stipulation that the grills be 6/6.
Commissioner Hendricks, second.
Okay.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Souza, seconded by Commissioner Hendricks to approve the additional information with the stipulation that the grills be detailed as 6/6 on the replacement windows. Opportunity for more discussion by the commissioners? Okay, seeing none. Mr. Parcell, will you do a roll call vote?
Yes.
Vote, please.
Commissioner Sousa?
Yes.
Commissioner Hendricks?
Yes.
Commissioner Gray?
Yes.
Commissioner Fox Brown?
Yes.
And Chair Wing.
Yes.
All right. Scott, thank you very much. We really appreciate your patience with everything. Congratulations. You don't need a building permit for this since you're just replacing the windows, and I will send your letter out on Monday.
Thank you, and thank you all for your patience and for the information too. It was helpful. Thank you. Have a good evening.
You as well.
Thank you.
Okay, item 5B, an appeal for the purpose of considering a request from Alexander Baileron for the property located at 445 Abbott Road to replace the casement windows on the east side of the house with new replacement windows. Mr. Parcell.
Okay, so Mr. Goodenberg, I believe, is here to speak on this one. The applicants put in several different types of windows to be replaced. I believe what had happened is we accepted the wood casement windows, and they want to use a different material they had outlined, so they are appealing that decision. I will let Mr. Goodenberg speak to that.
Thanks. Good evening. My name is Brendan Goodenberg. I'm the Vice President of the Alumni Association that owns 445 Abbott Road. We're confused what historical preservation is the focus for either window that we are directed to replace. The windows are clearly absent in the picture from 1957 that's in the report. So I'm confused if we're trying to preserve the history and it's not 1957, I'm not sure why that photo was included. You know, we want to preserve the historical quality of the house. Disagree that $2,000 extra to have wood instead of vinyl can be justified during a renting crisis based on the texture and type of material involved. The vinyl double hung would be the most energy efficient and cost effective, and the vinyl casement would resemble the existing windows equally to wood. We're requesting you allow the $2,000 difference between the types of windows frames to be used repairing other code violations. We believe these repairs will contribute more to our mutual goal of preserving historical structure than maintaining the texture and type of materials surrounding 1990s windows. At the very least, we ask to be informed what year or range of years it is your intention to preserve, and provide with the photos or other documents you are looking at when basing decisions, so we may join you in that effort proactively.
So here's the approval letter. We approved it with the wood casement option highlighted there, and they're asking that one of the other submitted types of window be approved.
So are they withdrawing their application?
They are appealing the condition that the wood casement option be provided by the applicant.
Wait, can you go back to the letter?
Yep.
So, oh, okay. Did they,
Yes.
They provided the wood casement option before?
Yeah, so they submitted several different replacements for the windows that are on the house right there. And the commission decided that they would do wood casement. The applicant now would like to revisit it and suggest that the vinyl be used.
So they're asking us why we approved their submission?
Mr. Gutenberg can attest to that, I believe.
No, we're asking that you allow us to use something other than wood to save money on the premise that if the goal is historical preservation, these windows were put in after the picture in the report, and I'm not sure what we're preserving other than, and why vinyl is so, I think hated is a good word. And so like we're trying to make decisions and we don't understand the process that you're going through to make the decisions. So you'll end up confused over here just trying to guess what we're going to be allowed to do and what we're going to get told to replace and etc.
Sure. Well, you guys made a good guess before, apparently, because didn't you put forward the wood windows?
I believe we submitted all three. I don't know. I can't speak to that exactly though.
So there was vinyl here, then they did wood clad, and then they did wood casement. And
So
then that's another vinyl one. But yeah, it's these two windows on the side, not the main one.
Walk through the process of trying to I'm guessing this is the last stop, is walking through the process of trying to save as much money as those windows as we can and use it in other areas.
Well, I don't even remember if I was at this meeting, but I'm pretty sure that that we would have used the Secretary of Interior standards, which are the standards we're supposed to use. So it's not a great mystery as to how the commission operates particularly. There are regulations, essentially. There is not a specific year. It's things like we try to replace what's there with what's there. The vinyl issue is significant. There are, first of all, it, especially for windows, tends to sag, and you can tell from the street that it's no longer the historical it's no longer the historical material that people used. I'll agree that's not an attractive window that was put into that building, nor is the addition that was put on particularly.
Yeah, thank you. I agree.
Yeah, but unfortunately, but you know, that's not our purview. Our purview is to make decisions on what's put in front of us, including what the applicants put in front of us. So there's no doubt that based on the Secretary of Interior standards, like for like is what we're supposed to approve.
There's the minutes commissioners who say you were not in attendance in March.
But I'll bet I was pretty much right.
You were close.
Yeah, 5 and 6. There it is.
So this is Commissioner Wing. I wasn't in attendance in March either. So may I ask, what are the existing? There's 3 windows there, right? There's the main stationary window and then the 2 flanking windows. What are those 2 windows currently made of?
Wood.
Yeah, wood.
All 3 of them are wood. Okay.
There's photos.
Okay. So that, I mean, to expound on it a little bit, putting 2 vinyl windows next to a wood window, whether that window is original to the house, which it's clearly not, it's problematic to the entire house. If we were having a really great discussion, it would be the discussion that, you've decided that you're going to get rid of that window completely and you're going to put it back to looking like the house, looking like the window originally did. Clearly, that's even more expensive than what we're talking about here. But the fact that you have 3 wood windows and only 2 of them are asking to be replaced, the 2 on the side, it's completely, it's even more inappropriate to then flank that wood picture window with 2 vinyl windows.
Yeah, I completely understand your point. Do you understand my point that if we don't know from a planning perspective what year we're trying to preserve. You know what I mean? I'm not asking for a month and a day, but you know, are we trying to, if we're planning construction and renovations and worrying about how to budget for, you know, a couple $1,000s in variable costs every year, how are we supposed to do that without knowing clearly, okay, here's the photo that, you know, that they're basing these decisions on, and here's the guidelines that we can not have to go through the, you know, permission steps. And I know you said earlier that you take things on a case-by-case basis, and I'm just hoping that we can avoid doing that in the future, because I would like to keep repairing this house, and I would like to keep, you know, all the historical value.
So there is,
Sure.
there's there's no year standard. It's really the Secretary of Interior standards, which outline how we're supposed to make decisions on cases.
Well, and I would say for the city of East Lansing specifically, the historic district ordinance did not go into effect until 1992, I want to say. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong.
89, I believe.
Okay. So essentially, and I use the word essentially, anything that was existent on anyone's house as of 1992 is, for lack of a better term, grandfathered in, right? So this window, the only window that we're talking about here, was part of the home in 1992. And as a result, that's what we're looking at. So when you bring us an application for this window, even though it wasn't existing with the house when the house was originally built, it was there as part of the 1992 Historic District Ordinance. And so that's what we have to act upon. Now, if you brought us applications for, like, say, the upstairs windows, and the upstairs windows are the original windows, we would then be acting upon those windows as to how those are presented to us. Or if you wanted to cover the house in vinyl siding, we would be acting upon the fact that you have the original wood siding that's on the home right now, so we would not be approving putting vinyl siding on top of the original siding. So your case is a little bit different because, of course, a lot of the home is still original. This is not, although it looks like to a certain extent they jerry-rigged or they reused some of the components from the original window when they put this new one in. Sort of odd conglomeration. Somebody had some.
That is how I would define the whole house, as an odd conglomeration.
Which is why I said facetiously, if you wanted to put the window back to the original configuration, that, you know, we'd all do a happy dance. But understandably, that's not what you're asking us to comment on. We can only comment on the application that you've brought before us.
Okay, well,
so if you have a wood window, we're going to comment, and we're going to ask that the wood window stay a wood window. And that if it's a casement, which these are, that they would stay casements, that they would not become double hungs.
Okay, yeah, I just feel like it's a minefield as far as like making the decisions around, you know, which parts of this hodgepodge together house are original, which aren't. If we don't have, you know, that's the first time I've seen that picture. I've never even seen that picture before. So, would you have any advice for me moving forwards and how I could give myself less of a headache?
Well, you can always reach out to Jake and, you know, chat with him before you even submit an application, or as you're part of the planning process, to run the project past him, to, you know, to understand exactly. I mean, there's only so much that can be done to a house on the exterior, right? There's windows, there's siding, there's porches, stoops, things like that. So whenever you're talking about the exterior, and for our purview, it has to be something that can be seen from the street or from a public right-of-way, I should say. So if you're talking about doing something in the back of the home and there's no alley that runs through the backyard, we don't have any purview over that. We'll never tell you what color to put on the house. We don't have purview over color. But Jake is always available to talk to before you even start the process.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'll make sure we do that in the future, because we want to replace the other windows and siding and the roof, and the roof's really tricky because that's another thing that has like put together in 4 pieces over 60 years. So, but I appreciate the advice. I'll make sure to do that going forwards.
Yep, I'm more than happy to well, not sit down anymore, but Zoom call with you anytime.
Appreciate it.
All right. I guess that would require a motion for the.
Yeah. Do we have a motion?
Do we have an
I'm not sure what. Go ahead.
Is there an actual application, Jake?
Yeah, they just wanted to have a different material approved that they submitted rather than the wood casement.
So this is Commissioner Souza moved to deny based on Secretary of Standards 5 and 6.
Commissioner Gray, second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Commissioner Souza, seconded by Commissioner Gray, to deny the application to use a different material other than wood. Is that a fair statement?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Comments from commissioners? Any additional conversation and comments from commissioners? Okay.
Right.
Mr. Purcell?
Commissioner Sousa?
Yes.
Commissioner Hendricks?
Yes.
Commissioner Gray?
Yes.
Commissioner Fox Brown?
Yes.
And Chair Wing?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Gutenberg, I don't know if I have your email, but I have Alex's. I'll reach out to him Monday when I'm in, and we can set something up, and I'll go over everything that I can with you guys more, and we'll get you all fixed up the best we can.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care, and thank you for your patience.
Have a good one.
Okay, item number 6, new business. Do we have any new business?
Potentially be ready for maybe an in-person meeting if all restrictions are lifted for in-person meetings in the future. Unless we get a resubmittal, which is 100% plausible, I don't think we have any applications for August. So sit tight, and I will update everyone as I can.
Jake, has there been any discussion about holding the meeting, say, at Hannah in that larger room so that commissioners could spread out 6 feet apart at a table and there'd be more audience room?
The issue is that we're restricted by the state government to have virtual meetings right now. So until that's lifted, which barring extension, I think is the end of the month, we're kind of limited to what we can do here locally.
Okay.
So that's a good idea though. And once that does get lifted, I can definitely bring that up because it's possible.
Okay.
So I will write that down. But yeah, no new business.
All right, Commissioner reports. I'll mention for the group that the wood window workshop that I attended last year, they are holding another one this year. I believe it's going to be in September. I'll just go ahead and send it out to the entire group. I think it was like $125 to attend a day-and-a-half session in Kalamazoo. It was extremely informative and helpful, so that's just FYI in case anybody's interested in attending that particular workshop. Any other commissioner reports? Okay, staff report.
Update for me, until the end of August, I'm only in office or able to check my email 20 hours a week. So I'm in Mondays and Thursdays all day, and then I bounce around from Wednesday night to Friday, depending on planning commission and ZBA. I can email everyone my cell phone if anything more urgent comes up and you need me. I'm happy to help out. But other than that, no. Stay safe. I'll keep you all updated the best I can on if we're meeting in person or virtually. And I think this went really well tonight for it being our first one. And I'm really happy with how everything went. So I do appreciate everyone's patience with this giant agenda.
Right. I agree. it did go as smoothly as could be expected. Item number 9, assignments.
Wear a mask and stay socially distanced.
Yes, wear the masks. Item 10, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Souza, Commissioner Hendricks, all those in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 9:43. Thank you all. It's good to hear your voices, if not see your faces.
Yes, it's good to see everybody. Stay safe and stay healthy. And we'll be in touch.
Okay, thanks all. Bye now.
Thanks.